fission. What do you understand by fission reaction? Breaking of a covalent bond is called as bond fission. When a covalent bond is broken, then that is called as bond fission. Every chemical combination involves, or every chemical reaction involves, breaking of some old bonds of the reactant and formation of some new bonds of the product. The energy that is absorbed while breaking the bond is called as the bond fission energy, right? So what is bond fission? Bond fission is the breaking of a covalent bond breaking of a covalent bond is known as bond fission. Fine. Now when you have bond fission, there are two types of bond fission. Two types. One is called as homolytic bond fission. And the second is called as heterolytic bond fission. So there are two different types of bond fission. There are two different ways in which a covalent bond can be broken. Let's see them in detail. Now see, a covalent bond is formed by sharing of electrons. A covalent bond is formed by sharing of electrons. Let's first see what is homolytic fission. Bond fission. Right? I have a covalent bond which is formed by sharing of electrons. I have A and B. Suppose if I break the bond in such a way that each atom retains its electron, then that kind of fission is called as homolytic fission. If I break this bond, how do I break this bond? In the presence of UV light. If I break the bond in the presence of UV light such that A retains one electron and B retains another electron, both the atoms retain their electrons in order to give rise to free radicals. Then that is called as homolytic fission. Fine, do you get this thing clear? So what is homolytic fission? It is the breaking of a covalent bond where each of the two species retain one electron. It is the breaking of covalent bond in which each of the two species retains one electron. Right? The bond breaks evenly and hence the electron pair which is shared, out of that one electron goes to one and the other goes to the other atom. Right? So I can say that the bond breaks evenly. The bond breaks evenly and hence one electron of the shared pair and hence one electron of the shared pair remains with one fragment, remains with one fragment and the other with the other fragment. Right? Now, at the end of homolytic fission, what you get, the end product of homolytic fission is free radicals. I can say that the species obtained due to homolysis is free radicals. Fine, will you get this thing there? These free radicals that are obtained are highly reactive because they have unpaired electron in excited state. Now, the covalent bonds between atoms of same element undergo homolytic fission. The energy that is required to break a covalent bond by homolytic fission is usually less. Fine, will you get this in here? So that is your homolytic fission. Next, let us consider heterolytic fission. Let's assume I have A, B, covalent bond. Let's assume that I break it. Now this particular bond, let us assume is a polar bond. What is a polar bond? Generally guys, when covalent bonds are formed, the electron pair is equally shared by both the compounds. But if a covalent bond is formed between atoms of different element, due to the difference in their electronegativity, the electron pair is slightly shifted towards one atom and is slightly shifted away from one atom. The atom from where it is shifted away carries a small positive charge, that is delta positive, and the other atom carries a small negative charge, that is delta negative. So let us assume that this is a polar bond. Now if I break this bond and I break the bond in such a way that both the electrons are retained by one atom. Both the electrons are retained by one atom, A plus B, where A then gets converted into a positively charged ion and B gets converted into a negatively charged ion. Or I could have the reaction this way, A, B, polar bond, such that both the electrons are retained by A and gets converted into negative ion, and both the electrons are lost. B loses its electron and gets converted into a positive ion. So here the end product that I get is ions. So when you break the covalent bond in such a way that the electron pair is retained by one of the atom and is lost by the other atom, then that is called as heterolytic fission.
What did you do in second reaction?
Same thing, both the electrons I gave to A, so A got converted into negative ion. Right?
Between ions and free radicals.
Ions are charged particles, free radicals do not have charge. Right? They are the difference between atoms and radicals. Radicals are free atoms which have been formed from a compound due to the breaking of a compound. Okay. Now let's see this in what is heterolytic fission. I can say that the breaking of a covalent bond, breaking of a covalent bond in which cations and anions are formed as reaction intermediate is known as heterolytic fission. Fine, do we get this thing clear? Now, the covalent bond between the atoms which differ widely in their electronegativity undergo heterolytic fission, because I need to have a polar compound here. Covalent bonds which differ between atoms which differ widely in their electronegativity undergo heterolysis. Fine. So in heterolysis, both the electrons are shared, or the shared pair remain with one fragment. Both electrons of the shared pair remain. Both electrons of shared pair remain with one fragment, which acquires negative charge, since it has one extra electron, that is, it gets converted into an ion, while the other fragment acquires positive charge, cation. Right? So do you understand what is heterolytic fission? Now, in heterolytic fission, if one of the atom is carbon atom, let's do heterolytic fission with carbon atom. Suppose if I have carbon and B, right? Now, in this case, if I do heterolytic fission such that carbon gets converted into positive ion and both the electrons are retained by B, then such a carbon ion is called as carbonium ion. This is, if I subject this to heterolysis, what I get is carbonium ion. Right? So what is carbonium ion in heterolytic fission? If one of the atoms is carbon and carbon atom develops a positive charge after heterolytic fission, then that is called as carbonium ion. Similarly, if I have a reaction where I have carbon and say B, heterolysis, carbon retains both the electrons and develops a negative charge, whereas the other fragment develops a positive charge, then such a carbon ion is called as carboanion. Right, do you get this thing here? So what is carbonium ion and carboanion? Carbonium ion is the positive carbon ion obtained in heterolytic fission. Carboanion is the negative carbon ion obtained in heterolytic fission. What is the difference between them? Difference between carbonium and carbanion. Carbonium and carbanion. Carbonium has to be a positively charged ion. This is a positively charged ion. Carbanion is a negatively charged ion. Right? Next, since it has lost an electron, there will be 6 electrons in its valency shell. 6 electrons in valency shell. It has 6 electrons in valency shell, whereas this will have 1 electron more. That means it will have 8 electrons in its valency shell. 8 electrons in valency shell. Right? It has a trigonal planar geometry. The carbonium ion has a trigonal planar geometry, whereas our carbanion has a tetrahedral geometry. Fine. The carbonium ion undergoes sp2 hybridization. Carbonium ion is sp2 hybridized, carbanion is sp3 hybridized. Fine. So, and carbonium ions are they act as electrophile. Okay, we'll see that later when I teach you what is electrophile and nucleophile. Right? So do you understand this? What is carbonium and carboanion? Next, what do you understand by the word reagent? What do we understand by the word reagent? A substance which is used in chemical reaction to detect, analyze or produce any other substance is a reagent. What is a reagent? A substance used in a chemical reaction to detect, analyze or produce other substance is known as reagent. So what is a reagent? A substance that is used in chemical reaction. Okay. Now you have a word in English dictionary. The word is philic. The English dictionary, that's got nothing to do with chemistry. The English dictionary meaning of the word philic is love. Another synonymous word for love is philic. Right? You also have phobic. Phobic is synonymous for hate. Right? Do you get this idea? So you have two English dictionary words. I want you to know the meaning of these words, because if you know the meaning of these words, you will understand the subsequent definitions very easily. English dictionary meaning of the word philic. Philic means love. Phobic means hate. These are synonymous words for love and hate. Synonymous word for love is philic. Synonymous word for hate is phobic. Right? Let's see. Now that we have done reagents, let's see the different types of reagents. There are two different types of reagents that you have. One is called as nucleophilic reagents. One is called as nucleophilic reagent. Right? Nucleophilic. Philic means love. Nucleophilic means love for nucleus. Right? That means what are nucleophilic reagents? Which have a love for nucleus. If they have a love for nucleus, that means they have a love for positive charge. If they have a love for positive charge, why do they have a love for positive charge? Because they have to be negative charge. So only if they are because we know opposite charges attract. So if it is a negatively charged reagent, only then will it have a love for positively charged reagent, or will it have a love for positive charge. So what are nucleophilic reagents? These are negatively charged reagents. What are nucleophilic reagents? Nucleophilic reagents, they are electron. If they love nucleus, that means they have more electrons. You generally love things that you don't have. Right? They are electron rich species. What are nucleophilic reagents? They are electron rich species. Since they are electron rich species, anything that you have more you want to give away. Right? Since they are electron rich species, they have more of electron, therefore they have a tendency to donate electron pairs. Donate electron pair. They have a tendency to donate electron pair. Right? What will they be attracted to? They will be attracted to regions which are positively charged. So they attack at the on the center of minimum electron density. So they are generally attracted to places where the electron density is minimum. Right? Any reaction in which you use a nucleophilic reagent is called as a nucleophilic reaction. Nucleophilic reagents are used for substitution reaction, right? So I can say that substitution reactions involving nucleophiles nucleophiles are known as nucleophilic substitution reaction. Fine. As I told you that they are electron-rich species, that means they are negatively charged ions. They are negatively charged ions. They are negatively charged ions, and they are considered as Lewis base. These are nucleophilic reagents, right? Similarly, you have another kind of reagents which are called as electrophilic reagents. What are electrophilic reagents? Electro means electron, philic means love. That means these are those reagents that have love for electrons. When will you have love for electrons? When you do not have electron. That means what kind of a reagent are you? You are an electron deficient species. These are electron deficient species. These are electron deficient species. Since they are electron deficient species, they will have a tendency to accept electron pair. They do not have electron, therefore they have a tendency to accept electron pair. They have tendency to accept electron pair. Fine. In a chemical reaction, which region will they attack? They will attack regions which are electron rich centers. They will attack on the center of maximum electron density, right? Substitution reactions involving electrophiles are called as electrophilic substitution reactions. Substitution reactions involving electrophiles are called electrophilic substitution reactions, right? They are positively charged ions and they form Lewis's acid. Right, so do we understand what are the different types of reagents? Right, we will stop this here for the day. Thank you very much.